UFC 269 weigh-in recap show, full card predictions, and the betting breakdown. Looking forward to talking about this card after seeing the fighters on the scales. Unfortunately, we did lose one fight. It was Alex Perez and Matt Schnell. It is off. Disappointing, but that is the fight game. Smash that like button, guys. Subscribe if you're new to the channel and turn on those post notifications too. And let's talk about the first fight of the night. Gillian Robertson versus Priscila Cachoeira. I do feel like this fight is going to be very one-sided. Earlier in the week, the pick is Robertson. Regardless of how they looked on the scales, I didn't really see a big change in that pick. And let's note this, Priscila Cachoeira misses weight by, I believe, 4 pounds. So she came in way over at 129 for a fight that's supposed to be at 125. I think her best shot is going to be landing a big knockout strike somewhere in an exchange as Robertson looks to shoot. I see Robertson out grappling her for the majority of this fight. I feel like seeing the weight miss. I don't know. I'm worried about Cachoeira maybe not being in the best of shape. I'm going to go Robertson wins, third round submission or TKO. I like inside the distance for Gillian Robertson. Strong favorite here. We'll bring up fight odds real quick to see if there's any potential play to be made. Right now, money line is not the move at all. Inside the distance for Gillian Robertson, which I do believe is possible now, is minus 115. Value isn't there for me. If I had to pick another one, maybe submission for Robertson. That's plus, it says plus 600 here, but I don't think that's accurate. I believe it's about plus 110 for that. Robertson, KO, TKO, you can find it at plus 600. Unfortunately, this first fight of the night is really more of a no-bet situation unless you're throwing a lot at it, and I do believe Gillian Robertson dominates. I don't see it being a competitive fight. Robertson for the win in fight number 1. Let's keep on moving up the card. Next fight, Randy Costa, Tony Kelley. I got Randy Costa here. That was the pick earlier on in the week. We'll look at the fighters on the scales. There is Tony Kelley, who made the drive to Vegas from Louisiana, refused to fly because he didn't want to have to wear a mask. I don't know. You know, when you go on a long 24-hour drive, if you guys have done it, you know how you feel the day after. You feel just a little bit off. Your legs are feeling weak. Still, he's on weight. I believe he's been training consistently. He looked good. Randy Costa, though, looking lean and ready to go. I am a fan of Randy Costa, and I do believe he has great striking technique. His stand-up game is fantastic. Crisp boxing, nice 1-2s, super athletic, and honestly, the kicks in general, not just the low kicks, the kicks everywhere are high level. He can kick consistently to the head easily. This man's got great dexterity. I think Randy Costa knocks Tony Kelley out. I don't see enough from Kelley. He doesn't have the wrestling game to get Costa down, I don't believe. On the floor, pure jiu-jitsu-wise, Kelley would have opportunities, but I don't see Costa having a hole in his game being grappling either. Training over at Sanford MMA is turning guys' careers around and getting them better and better. For a young guy like Randy Costa, who's 27, taking on a 34-year-old, absolute confidence. Randy Costa wins. Odds for it, you're looking at minus 170, around that range for Costa. Kelley plus 158. If you like Costa wins by KO, TKO, the prop bet on that one is minus 105. I suggest just money line it. I don't really think it's worth playing the KO, TKO prop at that minus money. I mean, there is a chance that Kelley goes in there and is able to survive and go the 3 rounds. I like Randy Costa straight, money line. I do believe he wins by KO TKO in the 2nd round. Let's keep on running up the card. Ryan Hall versus Darrick Minner. Earlier in the week, the pick was Ryan Hall. There's Minner on the scales. Got a intense look to him here. There's Ryan Hall looking happy, ready to come back from his disappointing loss to Ilia Topuria. I still believe he will. Minner has opportunities. I will say in the first round, Minner is super dangerous. Hall is not going to put himself out of position to get submitted. I don't see Minner with the knockout power to hurt him on the feet. Ilia Topuria beat up Ryan Hall. Topuria is a top flight prospect. Minner, competitive guy. I mean, look how many fights he has, 26-12. He's got a ton of fight experience. This is going to be his 39th fight as a pro. On the opposite side, Ryan Hall, just 10 pro bouts, but his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu game is off the charts good. Ryan Hall, win by submission. I'm thinking second round, but I could see it in the first two. Don't be surprised if it's a leg lock. Looking at the odds for this one, Hall sitting around minus 200, minus 190, plus 175 for Darrick Minner. Maybe the prop bet for Hall wins by submission would be something to touch. The value isn't amazing, but it's not really too shabby either. Right now, Hall by submission, plus 150. I do believe that's how he gets it done. Ryan Hall for the win. Keep on moving up this card. Picks right now have all remained the same. Erin Blanchfield versus Miranda Maverick. Women's bout that has me very intrigued and excited between two real prospects. Earlier in the week, pick is Miranda Maverick. Ignore the on-screen odds because Tapology has it way off here. Maverick is the favorite. Looking at them on the scales, we'll skip past the fight that was canceled. That was Perez and Schnell. There's Erin Blanchfield. There is Miranda Maverick. Intensity alone is much higher with Miranda. Pure jiu-jitsu, Blanchfield might have an edge. She's a black belt. Purple belt on the side of Maverick. Wrestling-wise, I think Maverick has the edge. Striking-wise, I think Maverick has the edge. Athleticism, the edge. Physical strength, the edge. I see Miranda Maverick being fairly dominant in this fight, winning a unanimous decision over Erin Blanchfield. Looking at the odds for this one, they're actually not bad. Minus 125, Miranda Maverick. Blanchfield plus 120 range. I like Miranda Maverick win by a unanimous decision. Prop-wise, Maverick wins by a decision, plus 140. Fight goes the distance, minus 260. We will be playing Miranda Maverick money line. That's what I like here, and I do believe she beats Erin Blanchfield. Keep on running up the card, and if you guys haven't yet, smash that like button. André Muniz versus Eryk Anders. Super fun fight. Earlier in the week, the pick is Muniz. We got to talk about Eryk Anders. He looks incredible on the scale. Lean and ready to go. If he can avoid the grappling, he can win this fight by knockout. On the opposite side, Muniz looking good on the scales too. His jiu-jitsu is phenomenal. Problem is, will he be able to get this fight to the floor? I'm going to rely on the yes factor. I do believe he'll get this fight to the floor. I do believe he'll be able to submit Anders. Eryk Anders is not an easy guy to finish. He's not an easy guy to get down. But if anybody can do it with their grappling, it's Muniz. I wouldn't be shocked if he pulls guard. I wouldn't be shocked if he's just looking to clinch up and get this fight to the floor in any position. Even if Anders is in a more so dominant style position, I think Muniz still has the advantage on the ground. There will be sweeps if Anders goes on the floor, even in side control. I feel like Muniz does get the submission here sometime in the 3 rounds. First or second, maybe. Anders will have the power to sleep him. I like Muniz to win, though, but Anders looked phenomenal on the scales, and we have to talk about how great he looked. I expect him to be difficult to beat here. Minus 135 Muniz, plus 135 for Eryk Anders. If you had to play a prop, maybe you go Muniz wins by a submission. That is sitting at plus 170. Anders wins by KO, which is his most likely outcome of victory, plus 275. Very fun middleweight fight. And we are riding with Muniz, but respect to Eryk Anders here. The next one is Bruno Silva versus Jordan Wright. Earlier in the week, pick is Bruno Silva. The Beverly Hills Ninja has a good kickboxing style. He's rangy, but I don't know if he has the durability. There's Bruno Silva on the scale. There is Jordan Wright. I don't see Wright with the grappling game to threaten Silva. Andrew Sanchez couldn't do it. Wellington Turman couldn't do it. Their grappling is better than Wright. Wright is almost a pure striker here. He likes kickboxing. He's got a karate-esque style. I believe he'll be forced to strike with Silva. If he looks to grapple, I think Silva will have the tools to fend off his attacks. Bruno Silva on the feet has a clear-cut power edge. The boxing differential is here, and I think Bruno Silva knocks out Jordan Wright in the first or second round. We're on Bruno Silva. The odds for this one, minus 325, plus 295. I like Bruno Silva for the win. Let's see. Bruno Silva by KO, TKO, minus 160. Not really loving the play on this one. I don't really think the opportunities are all that great here. I think Silva does win, but at the value, it's really not worth it. And if it is a parlay, it could be a parlay buster if somehow Jordan Wright pulls off this wild upset. We've seen crazy upsets in recent weeks, so I wouldn't be absolutely shocked if he pulled it off, but I think highly unlikely. We think Bruno Silva, victory by a knockout over Jordan Wright. Let's keep on moving up the card. Next fight, Augusto Sakai versus Tai Tuivasa. Earlier in the week, the pick is Augusto Sakai. There's Tai Tuivasa on the scales first, looking like Tai always does. There is Sakai. Power edge, Tai Tuivasa. Potentially grappling edge Augusto Sakai by not a ton here. But I feel like Sakai will be a tricky fight for Tai. I think Tai could definitely land the KO shot. And I said this on the Late Night Live and the podcast. Tai Tuivasa wins by knockout. If you're tuning into the Fight Companion, which make sure you do, I am taking a shoey. So Tai Tuivasa by KO, the shoey gets taken. I'm going on the opposite side. I'm going Augusto Sakai wins by a decision. But as a fan, I have no shame in being wrong in this one. And my man Tai Tuivasa getting the W. Looking at the odds, it is fairly close. Sakai minus 105. You're looking at minus 102. So really Sakai could be the slightest of underdogs, but not really. Minus 105 Tai Tuivasa. You get in the range about minus 110. It is a pick'ems fight here. If you like Tai Tuivasa by KO, and I believe a lot of people will, Tuivasa by KO is plus 150. Sakai to win by a decision plus crazy numbers. You're seeing plus 415 at best value there. I like Augusto Sakai to win, but I don't know that if you're superstitious, me saying Tai Tuivasa at the end there might be a sign. Stay tuned for this fight and make sure to tune into that Fight Companion. I'm excited to see this matchup. I'm picking Augusto Sakai, but I got to respect Tai Tuivasa's power here, and I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls it off. Let's keep on running up the card. Next fight of the night, Pedro Munhoz versus Dominick Cruz. Earlier in the week, the pick is Munhoz. Let's look at the guys on the scales. There is Cruz. You can tell he went through a weight cut. There's Munhoz. You can tell it as well. Both guys looking good. The concern is Dominick Cruz. Will the age catch up to him here? Now, I know Pedro Munhoz is nearly the same age at 35, but Dominick Cruz has a lot more wear and tear. Lots of injuries in the past that held up his career. I think Pedro Munhoz is fighting Dominick Cruz at the perfect time. I expect low kicks, slow the movement of Cruz, land decent boxing strikes. I think decision win for Pedro Munhoz over Dominick Cruz is likely here. I do expect high likelihood of this fight going to the distance. Odds for this matchup, pretty much pick'ems here. You're looking minus 107, plus 107, best value for Cruz. I like Munhoz, but it's a pick'ems fight. Fight goes the distance, minus 185. I think that's highly likely. Munhoz wins by a decision, which I won't be playing, plus 240. I like Pedro to win here, but it's a very competitive fight, and I like fight goes the distance the most for this matchup. Very fun bantamweight fight. Featured prelim of the night, Josh Emmett versus Dan Ige. Very fun fight in the featherweight division. I can't wait to see these two go at it. Earlier in the week, the pick is Dan Ige. I'm a little concerned. He looks small on the scales. Josh Emmett looks a lot thicker, stronger, better shape. I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Emmett goes out there and beats him. I do think Dan Ige may have a technical boxing edge, power on the side of Emmett, wrestling on the side of Emmett, ground game similar. Very tricky fight to pick. You can be on either side of this matchup. I'm going to lean Ige wins a decision, but I don't like how he looked on the scales. It's concerning. I'm kind of feeling like Josh Emmett is getting me to want to say I'm flipping it, but I'm not going to do that because I still think Dan Ige, regardless of how he looks, has the speed and precision where he could potentially pull this one off. Looking at the odds, Ige plus 140, Emmett minus 140. If you like Ige to win, maybe you play a money line. If you like Emmett, maybe you wanted to play Emmett by KO. He's plus 315 for that. With Josh Emmett, I feel like that's too high. I think that should be a lower number. But for the bettors out there, I think that is a decent play because Josh Emmett hits damn hard, 16-2 record. He's emerging as a contender. Unfortunately, has had a year and a half off. In that time, Dan Ige has had 4 fights. Could the activity be the difference maker? I'll bank on that it will, but very competitive matchup. Going Dan Ige, win by a decision. Now, let's jump to the main card. If you guys haven't yet, smash the hell out of that like button, and let's talk about Sean O'Malley versus Raulian Paiva. Earlier in the week, the pick's O'Malley. The pick is still O'Malley, regardless of how they look on the scales. There is the Sugar Show with the new haircut. There is Raulian Paiva. There is a bit of a size differential here. Height favors O'Malley. Reach favors O'Malley. Speed favors O'Malley. Technical striking skill favors O'Malley. Raulian Paiva, his best chance would be trying to get this fight to the floor and winning by submission. That's easier said than done with a guy that has as good of movement as Sean O'Malley does. Low kicks from Paiva should be coming heavy because Sean O'Malley durability issues in the past with his limbs. I still think Sean O'Malley gets the knockout in the first or second round here. I think he sleeps Raulian Paiva. I am on the Sugar Show to get the W in the first fight on the main card. Odds are wide, minus 275, plus 270. If you like O'Malley to win by KO, TKO, you can get it up to plus 120 at best value. It's a decent play. I don't see much likelihood for Paiva. I think fight ends inside the distance. Minus 135 could be something to touch here as well. Sean O'Malley for the victory in the first fight on the main card. Let's keep on running up. It's Kai Kara France versus Cody No Love Garbrandt. Debut at 125 for Cody. We picked him to win earlier on in the week. I was very concerned how he would look on the scales, but he looked good. He makes 125 without much issue. On weight, ready to walk. I guess technically made 126. He's ready to rock, though. Kai Kara France will have opportunities to win. He's a live underdog, but I'm going Cody No Love Garbrandt wins. And honestly, I was thinking KO TKO, but I'm also thinking potential for decision. I think Cody's in for a hell of a fight with Kai. I do think power edge goes Cody. I worry about the durability and good counter striking on the side of Kai Kara France. The dog bet wouldn't be a bad one here regardless of the pick. Looking at the odds for this one, plus 122 for Kai, minus 130 about for Cody No Love Garbrandt. If you want the knockout prop on either side, I am going to let you know what they're at. Plus 300 for Kai, plus 180 for Cody Garbrandt. This one, maybe you play the dog or you just enjoy the show here. Over 1.5, minus 170. I do think it goes over 1.5. I think people might be surprised that this fight potentially goes all 3 rounds. Cody Garbrandt maybe shows some wrestling. I don't know. I feel like he does have the wrestling base. He just doesn't always use it. It would be smart to mix it up on a guy like Kai Kara France and get the fight to the floor. I like Cody Garbrandt to win, but Kai is definitely live. The featured bout of the night. Jeff Neal versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. Earlier in the week, the pick is Neal. Here are the guys on the scales. There is Santiago. There is Neal. Both guys looking ready to go. Ponzinibbio, he's got his comeback, and honestly, 1-1 in the comeback, but not a bad win in the last one against Miguel Baeza. He takes on Jeff Neal, who's a tricky prospect, explosive striker. I liked Neal earlier on in the week. I still like Neal to win here. Little bit of plus money on Neal, but it's essentially pick'ems for this fight with Ponzinibbio and Jeff. Looking at props, which I'm not going to be touching, maybe over 1.5, minus 155. That would really be the play that I'm most intrigued by. Minus 225, fight starts round 2. I could see these guys definitely starting the second round. Does Neal have the potential to KO Ponzi? Maybe. Plus 195 for that, but I'm not going to bank on it. I got Neal winning. Ponzi is very live here in a true coin flip fight between these two. Very exciting matchup for the featured bout of the night. Next fight, the co-main event. Amanda Nunes, the pick earlier in the week. Regardless of how they looked on the scales, unless Amanda Nunes came in way overweight, it's hard to pick against her. There is Pena. There is Nunes. Girls are about the same height, even though the height is listed a little bit towards Nunes. When you saw them face off at the press conference, very close in height. Granted, could have been, some stuff in the shoes of Pena to make her appear a little bit bigger. I think Amanda Nunes gets a second round knockout, potentially even first. Pena's best chance is going to be looking to clinch up, wrestle, and somehow lock up a submission on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and greatest female fighter ever, Amanda Nunes. She is not the girl to beat Nunes. I think Amanda Nunes, KO TKO, first or second round, destruction, and it is not going to be competitive. But Pena is coming out. hard as she can. Everybody's doubting her. The whole fight game is betting against her, or I guess picking against her, because the bet is not great. Minus 850, Muniz is garbage bet. Plus 800, Pena. I don't see her winning. Muniz wins by KO TKO. The value for that, still minus 150 is the best value there, which really isn't all that great. You can pick the round. If you want to go Muniz wins in the second round, you could get plus 650. Muniz wins in the first, plus 350. Maybe a sprinkle prop both of those. I got Amanda Nunes definitely getting the W and beating Juliana Pena in our co-main event. Now let's jump to the main event. Smash the like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe, turn the post notifications on, and let's talk about Charles Oliveira versus Dustin Poirier for one last time until we see it live. Charles Bronx Oliveira is amazing. His stand-up game has gotten way better. Jiu-jitsu is off the charts. He's a really athletic guy. He's rangy. Dustin Poirier, excellent boxing technique, great forward pressure, good jiu-jitsu in his own right. Not an easy guy to beat at this point. Dustin Poirier's looked fantastic since moving up to lightweight, several years back. Had his title shot against Khabib, lost, 3-fight winning streak, win over Dan Hooker where he looked very human, win over Conor McGregor twice, and in the third fight with Conor, the leg snapped. We didn't see a ton out of him. Charles Oliveira has proven he's legit as hell, and he is absolutely live. I've been torn on this fight all week. I picked the diamond, and I will ride with the diamond, but we have to look at the fighters on the scales. There is Charles Oliveira looking confident and ready to go. There is Dustin Poirier looking confident and ready to go. I'm thinking Dustin Poirier knocks Charles Oliveira out in the third round, but it's a very hard fight. Poirier has to be cautious and patient, and I do think openings will arise and the hands will get this one done. I think he'll be able to hurt Charles and get a TKO, but I wouldn't be surprised if Charles Oliveira was able to get the win too. Either way, great fight, two great fighters. I can't wait to see these guys go at it. Looking at the odds for this fight, plus 135 Oliveira, minus 135 Poirier. Betting wise, nerve-wracking to play the favorite, Dustin Poirier, because he's taken on the champion of the world, and the champion is the dog, which is kind of crazy, right? Over 1.5, minus 175. I think that's very likely here. Fight ends inside the distance, is sitting at minus 295. If it did go the distance, that'd be plus 300. That would be pretty crazy. I don't necessarily think we're going past round 3. I would have a hard time seeing this fight going into the championship rounds, but it could happen. The fight game is a wild one, and there's definitely a possibility that it does. Poirier wins KO TKO, plus 140. Oliveira wins KO TKO, way too high, plus 650. He's got good striking. It's not like Oliveira couldn't get it done. Oliveira inside the distance, upwards of plus 295. There's some fun bets to be made. Fantastic UFC card. I cannot wait to watch this event. I am ecstatic for it. The fight companion will be on the channel, so tune into that. Smash the like button here. We'll quickly talk a little bit about parlays. Be cautious with your parlays, but I do have one that I really am liking. You just have to be willing to take the risk with Miranda Maverick. Randy Costa, Miranda Maverick, plus 172. If Robertson's value was better, I'd bring it in. It jumps you just a bit. Robertson, Maverick, Costa, but it's nerve-wracking to play the minus 400. Plus 300 if you added in Ryan Hall. I don't think that's an awful play either. Bruno Silva, too wide. Maybe you do this. If your bookie allows it, you go, fight goes the distance. You're looking at plus 300. Maverick, Costa, fight goes the distance. I'm liking that bet a lot here. I feel like there's a high likelihood of this one coming through. Not going to go nuts with the parlays. 2-3 fighter max. If you want to do a wild 5-fighter parlay, that is on you. If you want a more in-depth betting breakdown, definitely check out this week's best MMA bets. I'll link it in the description. Much love. Thank you all so much for tuning into the show. I appreciate you guys so much, and I can't wait to chat it up with you guys live on Saturday for these fights. See you all in the next video. Peace, guys.